naught, and Richard's come back to join me. Saw that wicket, Richard. Not the sort of shot you want from an opener this stage of the day.
No, I mean the day has taken a poor turn for the Bears, hasn't it? No Dominic Sibley available to open the batting, and then Rob Yates, who is perfectly capable as an opener indeed. If and when Sibley is away on international duty, you'd expect Yates to be opening the batting, with just a smear at that. It was a short ball, plenty of fire and pace from Zak Chappell, gets the edge, good take by Tom Moores, and Nottinghamshire having spent a lot of time today trying to get back into the game, and now starting to take the opportunity on the front foot. And it's so noticeable how bubbly, how noisy they are out there at the moment. They feel they've given themselves a real chance in the game, and now a very difficult moment for the debutant to come in, Hanuma Vihari. A lot of experience in terms of cricket, domestic cricket in India. He's played an international cricket, but this is a very different situation for him to come out into.
You wonder where he was in the negotiations with regards to his place in the batting order, and whether he would have been protected this evening or not. But as we've said, it's quite a large slice of cricket here to get in 10 overs, 40 minutes or so. Here's Chappell then to bowl to Vihari. First ball is defended. We had that little bit of nonsense earlier on when I was saying about Tim Bresnan getting his first wicket today. That was his first wicket in the county championship for Warwickshire. I guess we can say the same for Zak Chappell. Of course, he got some wickets last year, bowled very nicely indeed in the Bob Willis Trophy. But the year before, he played just 3 first-class matches for Notts and didn't get any wickets at all. So that's his first county championship wicket for Notts. And first ball, it was again a case of an opening batsman obliging the bowler, as we've seen in the first 2 matches I've seen this season. Here is Chappell into Vihari. As Richard said, they're very, very animated out there right now.
Yeah, which is what you want to be. You've got to be pumped up by it. You've been brought back into the game, put in a good position by Liam Patterson-White. You've got one of the great international bowlers opening up for you in Stuart Broad, who bowled a really probing first over. And if you're Zak Chappell, you want to be part of the fun.
Very much so. Could have gone with Dame Patterson, but Zak Chappell was the choice. Whether it was the well, it would have been the captain's choice, wouldn't it? And here's Chappell in again, bowling to Vihari. Dropped it on the leg side. Was, I think, looking for his skipper there just to help him out by calling him through for a single, but it would have been a very risky one with Dame Patterson quickly onto it. 4 for 1. Notts scrambling their way up to 273, having been deep down the well at 63 for 4, 106 for 5, 119 for 6, and the lower order, as it did in the first innings last week against Durham, outperforming the top order. Chappell running in, the shadows around him are from the sun rather than the floodlights, and bangs one in short. It goes through to the keeper. Like with Ollie Stone earlier, Chappell really does push the ball through. He's a quick bowler, can be a little erratic, a little hit and miss, but when he's on song, he really is a handful. Stuart Broad at the other end. Not going to be easy for the Bears over the next half an hour. There goes Chappell, former Leicestershire man, bowls, and this goes through to Tom Moores, who has already added to the what did he get last week? 6 catches in the innings, or in the match against Durham. On the board again today, 4 for 1. Both opening bowlers, of course, former Leicestershire players. Broad from a good few moons ago, Chappell more recently.
Yeah, it's been a while for Stuart Broad, hasn't it? But long career he's had. Feels like there's been abroad in English first-class cricket for a long time between himself and his father Chris. Stuart Broad to bowl, right arm round the wicket to Will Rhodes, and that one angling back towards off stump, but Rhodes has judged it okay and watches it go through and has a little dig of his guard again. It's 15 wickets in the day at Chelmsford, that's where the most have fallen. 11 here puts that very much in second spot. With the opportunity to add more. 2 games now reaching their close. The over rate today has not been special. The Bears have been marked as -1 for that initial innings. Broad once more to Rhodes. That's too far outside off stump and almost across in front of James at first slip is Moores to pouch that.
Of course, it's a while since Stuart played. We did see him have a morning net, a morning bowl before all 4 days of the Durham match.
You'd like to think that he has a good effect on the changing room when he's around as
Very
well.
much so, yeah.
To galvanise them.
So.
Or as he beats the outside edge of Rhodes' bat, it's a beautiful line from Broad. Doesn't maintain the appeal. He knows it's past the outside edge. Very, very wide on his follow through then.
Well, he was tweeting into. Well, he was tweeting into me. You know, watching the game on the live stream through the last match. You know, he was on the ground for part of each day and was then going home and watching the rest of the days. He's very much Nottinghamshire through and through. Very much part of the team. Enjoys being around the group. Some good friends, of course. You know, he spent virtually all his time here with Luke Fletcher. They both made their Nottinghamshire debuts on the same day, way back at the start of the 2008 summer.
They're going to throw in, I'm going to call it a 6th slip. There are 4 orthodox slips and then effectively a 6th slip rather than a gully. As he probes the off stump of Will Rhodes, and would you believe it, it goes between 4th slip and 6th slip for 4. False shot from Rhodes, but he gets a boundary. He's to 8. Warwickshire 8 for 1, trailed by 265. But of all the places the ball could have gone, the one gap that hadn't been plugged.
Yeah, it was along the ground, I think, wasn't it? It wasn't catchable height, which would have really rubbed salt in the wound. But an edge, be it genuine or ungenuine. I'm trying to work out what that basically means first thing this morning, weren't we? 8 for 1 Warwickshire.
Feels like about half a week ago, that, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
A lot has happened since. We've solved some mysteries about place names. We've seen a bus that looked like it was going in reverse. We've seen a very good innings from Liam Patterson-White and some good bowling from the Bears. And there's some top draw stuff from the Nottinghamshire attack as Rhodes leaves that one alone outside off stump. But the oohs and the ahs may be over the top for the ball, but it's all about giving the back into the bowlers and making sure that the Warwickshire batsmen know that Nottinghamshire are up and at it and enjoying going about their work here as they defend a score of 273 on the opening day of 4. That's a claim that they can have them 3 down. It's an authentic orthodox 5th slip now that is in position in Joe Clark, as this will be squirted off the outside edge in front of square. Across comes Slater to do the fielding, and there'll be a single, and that will end the over. So Will Rhodes has all 9 runs. Vihari is eased off strike. Zak Chappell will take up the attack, and for Rhodes, with Sibley not having come out to open, and we don't know what the injury or problem is, it's going to be an interesting Warwickshire batting order. You know, no idea whether he might be fine to come in tomorrow, or whether he has been told he can't come in till 7, or whatever it might be.
I've not paid any attention whatsoever to the IPL game. I know you have because of Chris Wokes, but it's all gone down to the final over.
Yeah.
Quite a dramatic thing in the Rajasthan Delhi game.
Chris Morris has played a rather good hand there. Looks like he's just going to squeeze Rajasthan over the line. Chris Woakes took 2 for 22 in his 4 overs, which he can't really knock. Bowled the first 3 in the opening power play. Tom Curran is taking a bit of stick in the final over.
Rhodes down to face Chappell for the first time then, and Zak Chappell is in, and Rhodes almost Hamid-like withdraws the bat with a little bit of a flourish. 9 for 1. So there are now 6 overs and 5 balls remaining. Notts have got 1 wicket. You'd imagine, and or I'd imagine without knowing the ins and outs and the policies of Warwickshire County Cricket Club, but you'd imagine if Notts were to winkle out another batsman to prize apart this partnership, perhaps we might see a night watchman, whoever that might be. Richard will probably have more of an idea. Danny Briggs maybe. Next ball from Chappell past the outside edge and through to the keeper.
Yeah, it might be Ollie Stone actually. Would possibly be my guess.
I mean, that said, it's, you know, it's said that the light is perfectly good right now, but do you want to face Broad and Chappell the last 3 or 4 overs of the day when potentially you can send out a night watchman and have a bit of a go tomorrow instead? We'll have to see. Notts got to get a wicket before any of that becomes a topic for conversation. Chappell, shirt outside his cricket flannels, comes in, bowls with good pace outside the off peg and through to Tom Moores. 9 for 1 the Bears, losing Rob Yates' first ball of the 2nd over. First ball he'd faced at a little bit of a rush of blood. Chased after one outside the off stump, went hard at it like Joe Clark did in the Nottinghamshire innings. Went really hard at it and just got a piece of the bat on the ball. It flew through to Moores. Chappell past umpire O'Shaughnessy onto the pads of Will Rhodes. He's took this away. There's a bit of protection out there, so there'll only be a couple of runs. It's Patterson with a throw into the gloves. So remember, we've got a Patterson and a Patterson White. 11 for 1. And I'm pleased they're not playing Yorkshire and Stephen Pattinson. Or no, he's Patterson, isn't he?
Yeah.
Like these.
Yeah, but yeah, is it better though with cricket than football? In football, you've got to get them out in a hurry. Yeah. But here we have time to ponder, don't we? And Patterson White and Patterson didn't bat long enough together for us to really get excitable about it.
No, second ball duck on debut for the South African. Chappell again runs away from his balls to the left-handed Rhodes, who's scored all of the Warwickshire runs. All 11, pushes this up to mid-off.
All the boy racers are out.
Yeah.
Big shadows now. The one to the left of Mullaney must be stretching a good 25 feet now. Zak Chappell's is even longer. I suppose that reflects their actual relative sizes.
Here he comes in once more. Again, just too much width offered. End of the over. 11 for 1. Chappell 2 overs, 1 for 2. Stuart Broad 2 overs, none for 9. And we've got 6 overs remaining.
Puzzling scorecard of the day, and they're having a bad light delay now, which will probably finish the day. It's at Chelmsford, where Essex bowled out for 96. It's a Herculean effort by Durham, but Durham in reply are 144 for 7.
Oh crikey!
Of which Borthwick made exactly 100. So Borthwick has outscored Essex, and yet Durham's lead is only 48 with 3 wickets standing. That is scorecard of the day. Harmer has taken 3 for 41. Dan Lawrence 2 for 1 in 8 balls.
Martin's not going to get his 4 days in Chelmsford after all.
It certainly doesn't look that way, does it? But that is a scorecard for the ages.
Have they finished?
It's bad light at the moment,
oh, yes,
and in fact now it's raining. It's now raining there. But, right then, chance for Hanuma Vihari to face up to Stuart Broad for the first time. So it'll be the first delivery that Broad has come up with today, that's going to be from over the wicket as he comes in with that familiar pumping action of the right arm, and short of a length he's turned round the corner by Vihari. There probably was a single there in truth, as Slater had to chase it down, but really an element of safety first from Will Rhodes in sending Vihari back, although he'd love to get off the mark really. So
interesting that Slater's gone in at short leg. It's usually Hamid, but clearly they want Hamid's slip catching ability above his short leg catching ability. So Slater's under the lid of Boot Hill.
Oh, he's quite tall for a short leg, Hamid. Actually, Slater a slightly more sensible build for it. Back of a length from Broad, around an off-stump line. Up onto his toes is Vihari and guides it into the ground. And there's no run.
Well, we have had a Centurion in Nottingham today, not on this ground, but at Lady Bay. Ben Compton, who played in this match a couple of years ago, 102 not out. Joey Everson 76 not out at the close of the day. Knots 219 for 1 that match against Lancashire seconds. So congratulations to Ben Compton, a second 11th century. He'd rather be playing here, but all you can do is just keep churning the runs out for the twos.
Broad advances once more, and again defensively played into the ground behind square by Vihari, and no run. In the interest of fair play, in case we have managed to get a couple of Lancastrian listeners, I believe that will be the follow-on, won't it? Because they were well behind the 8 ball on day one.
I don't know.
Got a feeling you'll find it.
We'll have to click on the link now. We'll have to click on the Lancashire 490 for 7 declared, Notts 159 and 219 for 1. Yeah, you've just sucked all the fun out of that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm here for. I have to follow Birmingham City home and away. I know how to have the fun sucked out of a sporting season. Here's Vihari facing up to Broad. He's wrapped on the pads. Big appeal from Broad. The umpire, Neil Mallender, says no. Might have been a question of height as much as anything.
He's got his juices flowing right now. Stuart is enjoying the challenge of bowling to Vihari.
He looks in rhythm, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Which, very early in the season, I know that he's played international cricket during the course of the winter, and also shown himself to be a very intelligent TV appearer. I think his analysis of the game, he's got a career in it afterwards.
Yes,
let's
indeed,
face it.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be part of the 100 coverage this summer as well on TV. In once more to Vihari. That's too far outside off stump. I'd have fancied this time. There were some oohs and ahs, but I think that feels a wee bit more coordinated. I don't think that was ever tempting Vihari. He didn't offer anything at the ball.
You'd just keep quietly, wouldn't you? Come on, Stuart. Zak's got one.
I don't think he needs any extra wind in his sails. There's plenty of a breeze there to get him through the America's Cup. He's emerging from the shadow underneath the scoreboard now as well, as he comes in now into the sunlight. Right arm over the wicket, back of a length, and shouldering arms is Vihari. They're enjoying the slip cord and are enjoying having Stuart Broad steaming in like that. 5 of the 10 overs that Warwickshire have got to face this evening are now gone. They're 11 for 1. Will Rhodes has all of the runs, but Vihari, so far at least, looking like he's in the frame of mind where he's there to get through to the close.
Yes, 1 or 2 of the Notts lads earlier had a little bit of Ollie Stone sticking it up them, and 1 or 2 no doubt will have bruises, medals, or whatever it is they call them, badges of honour. So, certainly there were 1 or 2 that copped a short ball or 2. I know Liam Patterson-White had to change a helmet. That was Bresnan, wasn't it? Bowling him a bouncer that hit him in the helmet.
I think he had another delivery that hit him on the back as well earlier that looped up and just cleared the stumps. That was quite early in his innings.
But, they'll enjoy seeing Chappell and Broad putting these 2 under a bit of pressure here. 11 for 1 is Zak Chappell into Will Rhodes, and this is just nudged back to the bowler. Like I say, Vihari's played at the highest level, but this is a testing little session for him. Really, there's not a single person in the crowd. Difficult or different conditions to any he'll have experienced before. He's only played a little bit in England. New team he's playing for, and he's got Broad and Chappell trying to knock his head off. Here is Chappell, banging that one in far too short to Rhodes, and goes through to the keeper.
Although to give some idea of the type of player that he can be, he was part of that memorable Indian rearguard that got them a draw, an unlikely draw in Australia that helped them win the series. And the latter part of his innings there was done with a pulled hamstring, which forced him to miss the rest of the series. But he batted an awful lot of time, and it would be fair to say that that Australian attack had a fair number of bowlers aiming at his head as well. So he's got that about it, but you're right, the conditions are going to be very different this week.
There's Chappell bowling to Rhodes. Nudges this up to Mullaney. Warwickshire would happily take the umpires flicking the bail off any time now. It's not going to happen because the light is good, but run scoring is not a priority at all. It's just survival now through to the close. Get there and start again tomorrow.
Well, from the moment they switch the floodlights on, we've got increasing amounts of beautiful blue sky.
Yes.
The light is absolutely terrific, so unlikely to be any issues.
No, we're going to get it all in. There's Chappell again, bowling to the Bears captain, wide of the off stump, and feel it's a little bit of a waste. So after this there are 4 overs to go. Just wonder if I might give Dane Patterson 2. Again, it's a different challenge. So perhaps Field have just had a little bit of a look at Zak. Admittedly only 3 overs and he has taken a wicket, but it's always a fine balance, isn't it? You know, Chappell has now got his rhythm and he's bowling quickly and bowling well. Or do you perhaps just slip in the surprise element, Dane Patterson, somebody they've not seen before, and just see if he can have a bit of a golden arm as this one again goes past the off stick and through to Moores.
I like the line that Zak Chappell's bowling though, and he's bowling with plenty of fire and pace. I wonder if the decision to open with him ahead of Patterson when they got the new ball is as much about the 98 minutes that he spent at the crease and the confidence that they've derived from sharing in a standard 63 with Liam Patterson-White, whether in a way it's like, you've helped dig us out of a real hole, go on, have a go with the new ball now.
Yeah. I mean, he was the spearhead last year. Stuart Broad wasn't around. Jake was injured, missed some of the matches. He's in now and bowled very well last year. Zak Chappell, and he's carried that on here. No better tonic than to get a wicket first ball, 11 for 1. I think he was a little unlucky not to play last week, but there we are, 11 for 1. And it's the end of the 6th over. Vihari yet to score. He's faced 11 balls. Will Rhodes 11 from 24, and after 6 overs they're going to have a hand sanitising break. Interesting that Stuart Broad has gone across to Zak Chappell, or the 2 of them are leaving the field together to get a squirt of hand gel, and Stuart just clearly passing on a comment or 2.
That's exactly what you want from him as well. You want that little bit of extra leadership that he can bring to it with all his experience. And just the feeling that when he comes to play for Nottinghamshire, he's part of the county club. It matters to him, and he's it's fundamentally obvious that he does. It's exactly the same when Chris Wokes gets the chance to play for Warwickshire. Yeah. He's a bear through and through. And I think, but it's another part of the whole history of Broad and Anderson and all they've done for English cricket is that when they come back to play for their counties, they generally look a cut above. Yeah,
that's right. I mean, you talk to the likes of Lyndon and Liam, and Stuart's a teammate. He's this almost famous person they see on the TV screens, but he's also somebody who's befriended them and is very much a teammate.
And he's bowling now to Vihari. That one on middle and leg gets up above stump height and wraps him on the thigh pad. It's a genuine test this for Will Rhodes and Hanuma Vihari. And he's got a lot to prove. We think he'll probably get 3 matches for the Bears here, Vihari, these next 3 weeks. At that point, Peter Milan should be able to be available for his Bears debut. And he'll want to prove a point in those games, as this one does angle past the outside edge. And hands on hips, Stuart Broad looks at Vihari, who's turned away to walk to square leg, as batsmen generally do.
But does he have other commitments then? Because they can have, or is there somebody else in the pipeline? Because they can have 2 overseas now.
Yeah, I don't think they intend to have 2 overseas.
Okay.
They've got one signed up for the T20 Blast as well in Carlos Brathwaite.
Yes.
That'd be entertaining, wouldn't it?
It will.
You won't leave you wondering, Carlos.
No, so we're looking forward to seeing Brathwaite.
Yeah. Terrific character by all accounts. Big Man United fan.
Yeah.
He's very vigorous on Twitter when Man United are playing.
Indeed, yeah. Trident X, that's his Twitter thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Looking forward to catching up with him later in the summer. Broad back of a length, left alone as it angles away from Vihari. He's very high on our list of desirable guests for the Bears Pod Blast.
Oh, yeah.
In what remains of the season.
Yeah, well, he's done a bit of TMS, hasn't he, when he's been over here?
Oh, he did. Yeah, he did the
West Indies
series last year. Thought he was rather good.
Dane Patterson is having a bit of a stretch down here. There's not a lot else to do when you're grazing at long leg, but I'm trying to work out if he's just having a bit of a stretch because he's cool and he's stiff, or if he is. No, I don't think he's getting himself ready to bowl. He doesn't look as if he is yet.
Broad, that's tighter on the stumps, and he was interested that might cut back and clip the top off, but Vihari has judged it well enough. He is just stretching his sides, Patterson. Do you know, if I was to compare him to another Nottinghamshire seamer of the last 15-20 years, physically, Andre Adams. Maybe?
Perhaps there's a physical resemblance. If it goes as well as Andre, then they've signed a superstar. He's one of the very, very best.
Broad has Vihari turning round, trying to clip the ball through mid-wicket. Wrapped on their pad, appeal. Nothing doing with the umpire. I'm not saying in terms of his quality bowling, I'm only talking about his physical shape as he warms up. Reminds me of Adams.
Martin Emerson has tweeted, "We thought we were going home. They've turned the scoreboard and everything off here at Chelmsford. Now the umpires have brought them back out. 2 overs remain in the gloom."
He's happy as usual. Always entertaining with Martin. Very passionate about Durham cricket. Loves the job. Always good to work with people who love the job. Broad into completely over, left alone outside off stump as Dave will update Radio Nottingham.
And we're just about at the end of the day. 3 overs still remain there. Warwickshire 11 for 1 in reply to Nottinghamshire's all-out score of 273. The home side really getting that score thanks to the lower order once again. Liam Patterson-White 73 not out. He had good support. Tom Moores made 31 earlier. Steven Mullaney 31 also. Stuart Broad 21. And Zak Chappell hung around for an hour and 40 minutes with Patterson-White adding 22. So not 273 all out, and a dream start. First ball, Zak Chappell getting rid of Rob Yates. So Warwickshire 11 for 1 with 3 overs to go in the day. Well, this is interesting. Didn't noticeably see him vigorously getting himself ready for a bowl, but it is going to be Dane Patterson. I can see the pros and the cons, as I mentioned in the last over. Chappell was loose and had got into a bit of a rhythm, but you know, perhaps this guy, you don't know if he's got a golden arm, do you, unless you give him the opportunity. And he's got the chance of 2 overs here. So Dane Patterson to bowl to Will Rhodes. His first ball in Nottinghamshire colours. He's caressed through the offside for 4. So it's not the start he would have wanted. In fact, umpire's holding his arm out. Is that for a no ball? Yeah. So
he's trundling for his loosener, overstepped, overpitched, and been punched for 4.
He's gone for 6. He hasn't got any figures yet on the board. It's 0 overs, 0 maidens, 0 wickets, and 6 runs. A less than spectacular start. Does this mean he can still get a wicket with his first ball for Nottinghamshire?
No. Well, maybe this is about overseas players and their first overs after Vihari's went for 11.
Yeah, 17 for 1. He's going to bowl again to Rhodes, who's on 15. That's better. Better at both ends. He kept his or some part of his heel behind the line.
Although not by much, judging by the conversation he's having with Steve O'Shaughnessy, who's going to drag his foot on the crease.
I hate that bowler's bowling no balls. Absolutely hate it. There's a line there. Just make sure part of your foot's behind that line. I take people off in club cricket as a captain if they do it a couple of times. Find somebody who can bowl. 17 for 1. This one is clipped up to Mullaney at mid-on. There's no addition to the total.
See, I spent my entire school career bowling uphill because I was quite happy bowling uphill. Then a captain put me on bowling downhill, and I bowled my first ever no balls. I bowled 2. Now, would you forgive me in that situation? Because I was totally thrown.
I did say a couple.
A couple, okay. And they were only costing you 1 run in those days, mercifully.
Yeah.
But, I preferred going up the hill. I had no pace anyway.
It's 22 yards either way, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's Patterson to bowl to Rhodes.
Oh dear.
Solidly behind it. Now get him off. Thank you, Everblow. That's his second no ball. And already he's gone for 8 runs. He's only bowled 2 legitimate deliveries.
You were saying earlier he's very short of actual cricket, isn't he?
Yes, he last played, not this winter gone, the winter before. So he's had over 12 months without any cricket. He had a chest injury and then all the business with signing for Notts. This one's clipped away behind square on the leg side for a single for Rhodes. Didn't play a full part in any of the in the warm-ups. We talked about the game at the Mitchell and Butler ground, whatever it's called. He played a little bit in that, had 11 or 12 overs in that game against Warwickshire Spares. He bowled a few overs against Leicestershire here without really playing a full part, and didn't play last week. So they're just easing him in. He's not going anywhere. I think he's here for the full season, if not on a 3-year deal. He's in bowls, and this is well defended by Vihari.
I think it's a lot of time to not play any cricket at the age that he is. He's 32 now, and having just made his way into the Test team as well, which had been a long time coming for him. Psychologically, that must have been tough. So the first part of this season might be a little bit him working into anything resembling a rhythm. I mean, he ostensibly isn't in one yet, but yet we've seen a couple of quite good deliveries amongst what he sent down.
Here he comes. 3 slips and gully. This one's just drifted down the leg side, not quite got his line right. Against Leicestershire, if I remember rightly, he had he looked very rusty. His first spell from this end, he had 6 overs. That was before lunch on that particular day in the warm-up game, and then he came back, and his second spell had 6 overs from the far end, the pavilion end, went a lot better. He knocked a lot of that rust off and just seemed he was in better sync. Bowls again. This one might just have kept a fraction low, judging from Vihari's reaction. It did. It's gone through to Moores. So 9 runs from that Patterson opening over. 20 for 1. So 2 overs have been bowled by the overseas players, costing 20 runs today. We had 11 from Vihari's sole over, and probably Dane Patterson will get another one, the last over of the day.
And neither of them have scored a run yet either.
No, no, that's right.
I mean, Vihari's faced 20 deliveries.
20 balls for a naught.
20 for 1 Warwickshire. They'd love to get through these next dozen balls intact. The potential, hopefully, for them of having Dominic Sibley available to bat tomorrow. We don't know why he wasn't able to come out. We know he wasn't on the field towards the tail end of that innings. He had a couple of spells off during the course of the day.
Clouseau Wilford will be on it, I'm sure. 5 in the slip cordon. Once again, Broad going round the wicket to Will Rhodes.
Absolutely got to make the most of Stuart Broad's overs. Don't know whether he'll be on account this week, but he bowls round the wicket, left alone by Will Rhodes. They might be told 32 overs, might be told 40 overs, might be say, well, look, we'll leave it up to Stuart, his experience, we'll let him judge how much bowling he can do over the course of the 4 days.
Just a little word, just a little pointer for Nottinghamshire supporters and followers watching the live stream once we've finished and gone off. If you just stick around for a minute or two, Liam Patterson-White will be talking to Aaron Lord. You'll be able to hear that interview. Close of play.
Rhodes turns this one off his hip down for a single. Long leg Patterson does the fielding. Rhodes to 17, 21 for 1. Warwickshire 252 runs behind.
It's one of the joys of live stream, isn't it? The additional things you can bring, and you can imagine going forward when we've got a little bit more access to the players, we can perhaps through the course of the day get one or two players perhaps being interviewed on the live stream and what have you, but very nice at the close of play to get people straight on. Liam Patterson-White will be there today.
Broad to Vihari, and it evades short leg, and it's going to be a leg bye, so he's still going to be on naught. Vihari. Broad was preparing a big appeal, but it wouldn't have amounted to anything because there was no bat or glove involved in the view of umpire Malinder.
I did tell you a minute or two ago that they were going back out for 2 overs at Chelmsford. Well, in those 2 overs, Durham have lost another wicket. They're 144 for 8. So 18 wickets in the day there.
It's a good job. Martin, who covers Durham, doesn't rate Simon Harmer, isn't it? He's taken 4 today. Brought in to Rhodes, who steers the ball behind square for another single. It's 23 for 1. Rhodes to 17 now.
No, it's not that he doesn't rate him, but
no.
He would question that he's the best bowler in the country, but couldn't.
I was exaggerating for comedic effect.
Yes.
To reward those who were listening to the conversation earlier. Yeah. No, I don't
he's a fine player, isn't he? He's a fine player.
There's nobody who would say they don't rate him. I think it's a loss to international cricket, the decision that he made in order to make his living.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. I think
a little bit like Jeaton.
Yeah, Jeaton dipped in and out of the New Zealand team, to be fair. He was never a Kolpak. As this ball is dropped slightly shorter by Broad and guided out into the offside by Vihari. He still awaits his first run.
And would go back and play for Wellington. And was it Wellington?
Oh, he's played all year round.
Yeah.
He played all year round for about 11 years. And here's the question to Mull about this fixture. When was the last time that Nottinghamshire and Warwickshire, or indeed in their guise as Birmingham Bears, met with nobody called Patel on the scorecard?
Well, yeah, that's a good one.
I mean, that is a long, long time.
Well, I wouldn't have thought it. Well, I don't know. I was thinking it wouldn't have happened in T20, but Samit's only missed 3 or 4 games. But.
Yeah, and Cheaton played throughout those games as well. As Vihari, he's going to be caught at third slip by Hamid. He's waiting for the umpire's decision, I think, in terms of whether it carried or not. And they are walking towards each other, but I think the decision is that he is out, and Hamid has taken a very sharp catch low down, and Vihari's debut for the Bears sees a lingering duck, and Warwickshire at 23 for 2. Broad gets his reward.
Quite extraordinary that he was out there for that length of time, yet couldn't quite see it through, and Stuart Broad does bag an important wicket. Now then, there are 6 balls left in the day. We'll get the binoculars and have a little bit of a look.